Hello everyone, I'm Simon from Games on Tables and this is the third episode of the Guild Ball Spotlight. I'm sorry that I didn't upload a Spotlight episode last week because that was, I was interrupted by the errata, you could say. I was about to talk about the different backbones containing Harry the Hat, and now he got changed. And yeah, already the first video I made is not correct anymore. Midas got some changes too, and Vittero got some changes regarding the Alchemist guild, besides more players from other guilds, which I talk about if I talk about the specific guilds then. So Vittero will be the next episode with all the strikers in the team, and Harry, like I said, I will talk about today. But first, let's correct the few things about Midas. Midas has lost his super shot. He has lost his armor on the heroic play. He even lost his light-footed. And Lure of Gold is only once per turn now. He didn't gain anything in exchange. So it was a pure nerf for him. He didn't even get the fourth kick dice like Flint got when he was stripped away from his super shot. And yeah, that's the only thing I feel a bit mad about, because Midas' legendary play works only if he makes a goal, or if he scores a goal right after. And with only 3 dice, he has to either bonus time, get into 4-inch, or don't be so unlucky like I am most of the time to really get this goal happen. And he wants to snare as many people or as many players around him as possible, so he is close to the enemy team. If the opponent has something like a compound, like a tenderizer, so a kind of goalie, he will have to engage them to get into goal range, or use his heroic play to dodge inside, but it's difficult again with his 6-inch rush keeper threat range around the keeper, who is placed 4-inch away from the goal. Adding his base, it's more than 10-inch, so Midas can't dodge inside this threat range and then be in 8-inch goal kick range. So he has to engage or be engaged by the goalkeeper, since he has only 1-inch reach, removing 1 die again from his pool. With Tenderizer, even the target number is raised up to 5+ instead of 4+, and so it gets really difficult for Midas to safely score the goal. And with his legendary play, which has to be used before scoring a goal, and if you don't score the goal, you have lost so much. You have lost Midas because he's almost dead inside the enemy team. You lost your legendary play, which doesn't have any effect then. You lost a lot of momentum to make the goal attempt. And with that, most of you know it, if you miss a goal, it can be a huge swing in the game, and maybe you lost the game. I won't go so far that this is now always the case with Midas. He's still a very good player, but having suffered from such a nerf, I made a test game, a tryout game with him with a new with the changes, and I didn't feel a lot of changes. I definitely knew Midas was gone as soon as he scored his goal. He scored, he snared, he scored again in the next turn, thanks to his snare on different players. I played against the Hunters Guild, but after that I had nothing else to do. I couldn't buff his armor up. I couldn't get enough distance to the goal with super shot or something like that. So he was then definitely gone. But he scored 2 goals, so that's not nearly a bad thing. He's still a very good striker. He has a nice playbook which wasn't touched. Yeah, loss of light-footed is. You have to think again how to place Midas. You can't just run across the field wherever you please. Overall I like the changes. I think he gets a lot better for opponents to play against. I'm just not very happy with the kick value of 3 dice. wished there was a fourth die, but that's partly because I can't roll dice and usually screw up my 3 dice kick attempts. But that's it about Midas. So these are the changes. He got nerfed quite a bit, but not too much. He's still a viable player. And for myself, I mostly like Smoke more, and now with the changes I may play her even more than Midas. But Midas still is a nice player, and I would keep him in my 10-man rooster if I go to tournaments. So, ending this step for the correction of the first video I made 3 weeks ago, let's dive into this one. And I called it, in the first one, I called this group of players the backbones of the guild. So it's regarding the guild-only players Calculus and Mercury, and with Union players Harry and Hemlock. These are the players who can easily get out the conditions you need as an Alchemist guild, or support your team in other ways. So you could say more support roles, but in the case of Calculus and Mercury, they are some kind of offensive players if you look at their playbooks, that I don't want to call them supports overall. They're really the backbones. They are the key elements in the back line or in the center of the field, applying the conditions or supporting with tackles or pushes. If you use a playbook which is quite short but very useful, enable your basic game plan. They're definitely different from the strikers and the bruisers because they don't deal a lot of damage. They don't have this huge threat to the goal, which are the other groups I will make in the next videos. But they have a defining style which I don't know the word right now, but they have their own style to make them their own group. So let's start with Calculus and Mercury. They are pretty similar, almost the same player, just with a different condition and slightly different character place. So they have almost the same stat line. The back of the card is almost identical, so I will show both fronts here. Calculus here has the only difference to Mercury is her kick value of 3 dice instead of 4 dice for Mercury, which already shows their small focus, their orientation towards which game they are going. Mercury more the football-oriented game, Calculus more the controlling, beating up game maybe. They have the almost same playbook, except Mercury has a tackle on the first column, Calculus on the third. Therefore, Calculus has a push on her first column without any momentum, but they have momentous results on the second and the third column. And there's a small change with double push on Mercury's side and push dodge on Calculus' side. But again, almost the same, and a very surprising amount of damage inside this playbook, because they have only attack of 4, but they have 2 damage on the second result, momentous 2 damage on the third result, and 3 damage on the fourth result. So if you get to set them up, they can really deal a lot of damage. The Alchemists don't have singled out for themselves yet. They just get it from Union players, or from Everest and Greedy only, right now. But with singled out, Calculus and Mercury can really deal a lot of pain to the opponent. I don't think Alchemists will ever get touched on Tooled Up, because Tooled Up would be so extremely strong on the Alchemist guild with all the intensifiers you can stack up with Flask or Veteran Catalyst, even doubling the effect of Tooled Up with his momentous damage and intensify results, adding 1 to the normal damage, 1 to the intensify, so with every result he deals 2 additional damage, in addition to his extra damage against players with conditions and the intensify and so on and so on. So I don't think we get access to Tooled Up, but this playbook is still a very strong playbook. I don't use them often to punch people, but when I do, they punch hard. Going to the character plays. They both have a 2 cost 8 inch range, 3 inch AoE, dealing 2 damage and a condition to opponents. Calculus, all about the poison condition. Mercury, fire condition, and yeah, all the fiery kind of guy. Then there's the difference. Mercury, more fire with Fire Blast, which is now a 2 influence cost play. It was in season 1 and 2 a 3 influence cost play, which was not that strong. With only a cost of 2, you can still use it on a single model if you don't want to use your Fire Blast, because there are not that many models in the area. You can use Flame Jet to deal 1 more damage. It does 3 damage on only 6 inch range. Or you can combine the both, dealing 5 damage on range. Calculus, on the other side, has Blind. Blind is very strong, and that's the thing. What makes her is it eligible, I think, or what makes her compatible with the scoring lineup to reduce the scoring potential of the opponent, but it's even better in a beat-up lineup, like with Smoke and Vet Catalyst, to share the poison condition. Smoke can reapply it to everyone, Veteran Catalyst deals a lot of damage, and you can slow down the opponent's play with Blind, reducing the goal threat from his strikers or from his main beating people with a 2 inch movement penalty and a 2 attack penalty. You can really slow down the opponent's plays, which I didn't yet have used often. I was planning about to use it, and I played her in my test game, and I think I used Blind once on a player who was already activated in case he would make a parting blow, because mostly I was activating Midas or Vitriol or Catalyst first to really assure getting the ball up front and into the goal, or beating the hell out of someone with Catalyst. So Calculus was mostly the second or third activation, more the third activation, and that's too late to use a Blind efficiently because the opponent has already activated his 2 important beaters or scorers. So Blind is nice, but I don't always see the situation where I can use it as a first activation. Both players have on the backside, I don't need to show it to you now, because either you know the card yourselves, or it's just nothing there except for the 1 inch aura both have. Enemy models entering this 1 inch aura suffer a condition. It's poison condition here and it's fire condition there, same procedure. And Mercury with a little add-in, he has Tactical Advice Flask, so he gains 1 +0/+1 influence if Flask is within 4 inch in the maintenance phase. In the past it was +1/+1 influence, and he generated only 1 by himself, so you had to play him close to Flask. Now you can play him even without Flask, and he's still viable with his 2/4 influence. And you can get this 5th influence if you use Flask. And if you set him up correctly, he then can deal a lot of damage with 5 attacks and his very awesome playbook. So that's Mercury and Calculus. They are really nice players. Defense 4, Armor 1, quite tanky with 15 health points. Melee zone of 1 isn't that much, but it's totally fine. 5/8 movement is fine. They have a nice playbook, which is short. They have a low tag value, but it's strong in this part. And they dish out any condition template, so fire or poison, to set up either Smoke, or Mercury I prefer to play with Midas to control the opponent's team, to block paths or slow down some players, and allowing Midas to play around them more easily. With a kick stat of 4/6, Mercury himself is a really good football player. He can pass the ball pretty easily, and if he gets up to 14 inches to the enemy goal, he can even score. That's barely the case in my plays or in my games, but it's an option. It's an option that's on the board, and that's very nice to have. It's always good to have as many options on the board as you can. So these are the two Alchemist backbones. Then the Alchemist Guild has access to two Union players I would consider a backbone. First, it's Harry the Hat Hallahan. Most of you might know him. It's one of the stronger Union players, and he also received a small nerf. He had a tech of 4 previously, now he has a tech of 5 because he lost his Crazy. That, on the other side, shortened his playbook a little, I think. Don't remember correctly. I think it was shortened by 1 column. But he still has Rising Anger and Inspiring Head, so the cards are here. And the main reason I like to play him is he has a Molotov, a 1 cost 6-inch range, 3-inch burning AoE, which is only half the price of Mercury's, and Harry then can, if you don't want to deal damage, more efficiently bring out the burning condition for either Midas or Smoke. Smoke can even copy his template and spread it around, and there's a damage irrelevant, so the 1 cost reduction is nice there. He has Goat to really control the opponent's scoring or beating game, to prevent him from going towards the goal or towards your fragile players. The lack of Crazy is reduced his own damage potential, but he still can reach all the columns in his playbook he needs. With the tech of 5, you have almost always the first column, but always mostly the second column too. So you have a double push to get opponents out of the melee range again with a counter attack, or even with the third column knockdown. That's now a little bit harder to reach, but with a little setup, so 1 or 2 assists, he still reliably reach the knockdown, and then then controlling the opponent. The most important things about Harry in the Alchemist team, I think, are Rising Anger and Inspiring Head. Rising Anger, the first time this model is damaged by an enemy model each turn, the friendly team gains 2 momentum points. And with an Alchemist guild not playing Smoke, it's quite difficult to generate momentum in a turn. You can either go on to the opponent and make a lot of momentous plays, like with Old Catalyst, with Midas, with Vitriol. But those momentous playbook results aren't often directing toward any goal or any objective besides generating momentum. Catalyst can external combustion someone around, that's very good, controlling them. But Vitriol has this push dodge momentous, so she's just moving with the opponent a little around the field. And Midas has his dodges, burden tokens, etc. If the opponent doesn't have the ball to tackle away and score a goal, these are almost wasted activations, I would say. So with Harry, you have a source of momentum which doesn't need any influence. It just has to be damaged by the opponent. Yeah, the opponent can avoid damaging him, but in some matchups, in some circumstances, he can't avoid it, and then you have 2 free momentum points, which is really good as an Alchemist player. The other thing is the Inspiring Head. That's, again, some kind of momentum generation, because you don't have to spend the momentum point for a teamwork action if the friendly model is within 4 inch of Harry the Head. He is not inspired by his own head, because he sees it every morning in the mirror, of course, but other players are inspired. Midas doesn't need it so much because he has his, showboating, so he already reduces the momentum point cost of his teamwork actions, but if Midas passes the ball onto Catalyst or Vitriol, who are inside of 4 inch of Harry, then you can keep your momentum and still dodge the 4-inch, which really enables the first turn plays, like getting up Catalyst and Vitriol up the field, going with meters up front, lure of gold someone even further, and then having Vitriol and or Catalyst in turn 1 in the fight where you want them. So here they had a really good backbone addition to the Alchemist guild, and in our current big league we said you can't use the same union model twice in a row. So I would play him in every game, I think, but now that I have to play him every other game, I adapt to either Mercury or Calculus, mostly Mercury because I prefer more football scoring style right now. The last union player I would consider a backbone is Hemlock. I know most of the community of the Alchemist Guild likes Hemlock a lot because she has Blind, she has Noxious Blast, just like Calculus, same influence generation, and she even has Smelling Salt, she's Slippery, Magical Brew, and so on and so on. I personally don't like her. She has only 10 health points with a defense of 5 armor 0, so nice defense. She's quite sturdy against opponent character plays, but she doesn't do a lot else. She has attack of 4 too, she has 1 inch melee, okay. Her playbook is mainly momentous dodges on 2 and 3 results. Momentous tackle on the first result is nice. Kick of 3-6 is the same as Calculus again. She can jog 1 inch further, okay, I give her that. But I prefer playing pure guilds, and I'm really happy with the addition in the season 3 to have only 1 union player, and that slot is almost always blocked by Harry the Hat. And that's it. It's always Harry. And Hemlock, I don't see her giving that much more. Smelling Salt was strong when it also healed 2 health points. But now it's just removing conditions, and as the Alchemist Guild it's unlikely to suffer a lot of conditions. More often the opponent suffers the conditions and you don't want to heal these conditions. Her Magical Brew, again, she can remove the conditions from herself. That's also healing her by 2. Hemlock is a player, is a person who gets, I think, taken out in almost 1 activation most of the time. In the past I had Midas with the old card, so it's not doable now. But I first activated first turn Midas. I was kicking, so Midas kicked, and then just charged Hemlock, who got the ball for the opponent team and didn't realize she was in range for Midas, and she just took her out in this single activation. That was the old Midas. He was quite insane, but with a what players can he do now? Almost every beating captain, I think. A Fillet, a Hammer, Honor, maybe Theron with the upgrades now. Hemlock is a difficult thing. You have to really keep her safe, or you just give away 2 victory points. And Noxious Blast is nice, Blind is nice, but Calculus has those 2, has more health points, has his poisonous aura around her, and can deal more damage if needed. So I personally like Calculus more, but Hemlock is available to the Alchemist Guild, and those who like her, I consider her a backbone, a supporting character, and therefore she is in here. That's almost it. I don't have to say as much about Hemlock as about the others, but I don't totally dislike her, but I like Calculus more, and Harry even more, so that's why I mostly play Harry. Even after the changes, I would prefer Harry the Hat. Talking about overall the backbones again. I made this classification of the different players to backbones, scorers, bruisers, dog bruisers, to give a feeling about the basic role of the different players and to help with constructing a 6-man lineup. You have to take a captain, sure, you have to take a mascot, sure, but then you have 4 players open. And if you take one out of each group, and then you need a 4th, you can adapt to what playstyle you like. I most of the time take a Compound as a influence battery, but I will talk about him in the bruises category. But if you take one player out of each category, you have a well-rounded team which can do always which can engage every objective to ensure a game win. You can score goals with your scorer players, and both captains are able to score goals. You can get takeouts with your bruisers, and with smoke you can amplify getting takeouts with the condition, damage over time dot in short. You put on the opponent, slowly lowering their health points or draining their momentum points to get rid of them, and therefore you have the option to win the game with a mixture of either 2 takeouts, 2 goals, or if you go with a second bruiser instead of Compound, with 4 takeouts, 1 goal, or if you take Old Catalyst in the bruisers category or Compound as the one from the bruisers category and take a second striker or a second supporter with a Midas lead, you can go for the 3-goal win. So you have all the options. If you take one player out of each category, you can pretty easily adapt to most playstyles, I think, and that's why I made those categories. And yeah, that's for now. This is a backbone category, the supporting character category, with Calculus, Mercury, Harry the Hat, and Hemlock. If you disagree with my opinions, then shut up. No, tell me in the comments. I would. I'm just sharing my thoughts about the guild, and you might have other thoughts, and I'm really happy to hear about them, to discuss them with you, either down in the comments or join us on our Discord server. Again, link is up there in the corner in our head banner from YouTube. We have a Guild Ball text chat there where we discuss the current errata maybe, or just the different players. Come join us, talk with us. And yeah, I will continue to make these videos. I hope you like them. First responses were mixed, but I keep on. I definitely will finish the Alchemist guild here and then have a resume if it's good or not. So I need your feedback, both feedbacks, good or bad. Tell me. And yeah, I'm practicing my English. I hope I get better. And yeah, I don't think I have to talk a lot more in this video. I already talked a lot. Just reminding. So Midas changes. He received a lot of changes, a lot of nerfs, but he's still a good player. Calculus and Mercury for the backbones, almost the same, depending on which playstyle you prefer. More damage-oriented playstyle would be Calculus with her poison condition, which deals more damage. Mercury more scoring-oriented, to slow down the opponent with fire, to have the tackle on the first result and a cake stat of 4/6. Harry even more scoring oriented with inspiring head and goad, and also the Molotov condition, so the burning condition, and Hemlock the 4th in the group, like a smaller Calculus. She can replace Calculus, I think, in some lineups, but I don't see that main reason for it. So I would prefer Smoke most of the time. Calculus with smokes like that. So yeah, that's a backbone category. Thank you for watching. I hope you liked it. Then tell me down in the comments. Tell me if you didn't like it. And we will see us maybe next week when I get to the scoring group, the strikers. And that will be the most interesting group, I think, with Vitriol suffering from some changes, and even, spoiler, Crucible in there. So, stay tuned. See you next time. Bye bye.